Hey guys, tonight we're stepping into ancient Jerusalem during the time of the Second Temple around 30 CE. But we're not here for the spiritual glory or the biblical stories you might know. We're here to experience what life was actually like for an ordinary person living under Roman occupation in the holiest city in Judaism. If you enjoy these raw explorations of history's uncomfortable truths, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. I'm curious, where are you watching from right now, and what time is it? Drop a comment below. Now, dim those lights if you can, maybe turn on a fan for some ambient sound, and get comfortable. Because tonight, you're about to discover why you absolutely wouldn't survive even a single day in ancient Jerusalem during the Temple period. You wake to shouting in the street. It's not yet dawn, but the city never truly sleeps. You're lying on a thin mat in a stone house in the lower city, one cramped room shared with your wife, 3 children, and your aging mother. The air smells like smoke from the oil lamp that burned most of the night, mixing with the scent of unwashed bodies and yesterday's bread. Your back aches from the hard stone floor beneath the mat. The shouting outside grows louder. It's Roman soldiers, their Latin cutting through the quiet like a blade. You freeze, listening. Are they coming here? Your wife's hand finds yours in the darkness. Everyone in Jerusalem knows that sound. It means someone's being arrested, or worse. You sit up carefully, trying not to wake the children. Your mother is already awake. She barely sleeps anymore. Through the small window opening, you can see torchlight moving in the alley below. The soldiers are searching houses. Your heart pounds. What are they looking for this time? Rebels? Taxes? Sometimes they don't need a reason. Last month, they dragged away your neighbor for looking at a centurion wrong. He hasn't come back. The torchlight passes your building. The shouting fades. You release a breath you didn't know you were holding. Your wife whispers a prayer of thanks. Another morning you've survived. But the day is just beginning. Dawn breaks slowly over Jerusalem, turning the limestone buildings golden. You step outside into the narrow street. The lower city is a maze of cramped alleys and stone houses stacked against each other. Raw sewage runs in channels down the middle of the streets. There's no proper sanitation here, not like the upper city where the priests and wealthy merchants live. The smell is overpowering. Human waste, animal dung, rotting food, smoke from countless cooking fires. You've lived with it your whole life, but it never stops making you feel slightly ill. Other people are emerging from their homes, faces drawn and tired. Everyone looks older than they are. Life here ages you fast. You need water. The public cistern is already crowded, dozens of people, filling clay jars, washing, preparing for the day. You wait your turn, watching Roman soldiers patrol the street above. They're always there, always watching. 2 legionaries in red cloaks and polished armor, hands resting on their sword hilts. They look bored. That's more dangerous than if they looked alert. Bored soldiers look for entertainment, and entertainment in Jerusalem usually means hurting someone. You keep your eyes down, filling your jar quickly. A woman ahead of you stumbles, spilling water. A soldier laughs. She doesn't look up, doesn't react. Smart. Drawing attention is suicide. Back home, your wife is rationing yesterday's bread. It's hard and stale, but it's all you have until you can afford more. Your children eat in silence. They've learned not to complain. Your oldest son is 12, old enough to understand how precarious everything is. Your daughter is 9, already showing signs of the malnutrition that marks everyone in the lower city. Your youngest is 5, too young to understand why he's always hungry. You give him half your portion. Your mother refuses to eat, saying she's not hungry. You know she's lying, but you don't argue. Pride is one of the few things people here have left. After the meagre breakfast, you have to make a decision. Today is market day, but it's also the day the temple tax collectors make their rounds. You owe taxes, everyone does. The temple demands a half shekel per year for every adult male, plus tithes on any income, plus offerings for purification, plus additional contributions for temple maintenance. It's crushing. You're a stonemason when you can find work, but work has been scarce. The Romans have their own builders. You've been trying to save enough for the taxes, but if you pay them, your family goes hungry for another week. If you don't pay, the temple authorities will take notice, and temple police are almost as feared as Roman soldiers. You decide to risk going to the market first. Maybe you can find work, earn enough to pay at least part of what you owe. The streets are filling now pilgrims from all over the Jewish world, mixing with locals, merchants setting up stalls, beggars calling out for charity. The noise is overwhelming. Hebrew, Aramaic, Greek, Latin, all mixing together. The smell of spices and roasting meat from the upper city drifts down, making your empty stomach twist. You push through the crowd, heading toward the marketplace near the Temple Mount. That's where the builders gather, hoping for day labor. The marketplace is chaos. Merchants are shouting their wares: fish from Galilee, grain from Egypt, pottery, cloth, oil, wine. Money changers sit at tables, exchanging foreign coins for temple currency, because only temple coins are acceptable for religious payments. The exchange rate is robbery, everyone knows it, but what choice do you have? You push past them toward where the builders congregate. There are maybe 50 men here, all hoping for the same thing: a day's work. A foreman is selecting workers for a construction project in the upper city. You push forward, but he barely looks at you. He's choosing younger men, stronger men. You're 35, but you look 50. He passes you by. You try again with another foreman. This one is hiring for repair work on a wealthy merchant's home. He looks you over, seems to consider, then shakes his head. Too many workers, not enough jobs. You're about to leave when a temple official approaches. He's dressed in fine linen, well-fed, clearly from a priestly family. He's looking for laborers for temple maintenance work. The pay is less than private work, but it's something. You step forward. He looks at your clothes, at your worn hands, and nods. You're hired. Relief floods through you. But then he asks, "Are you ritually pure? Have you touched any dead bodies, any unclean animals, been near any Gentiles?" You hesitate. 3 days ago, you helped move a dead donkey from the street. Under Jewish law, that makes you ritually impure for 7 days. You should have gone through purification, ritual, bathing, waiting, offering a sacrifice. But purification costs money you don't have. If you tell the truth, you won't get the work. If you lie and you're discovered, the punishment is severe. The temple official is waiting, his eyes narrowed. You make a choice. You lie. You tell him you're pure. He seems satisfied and gives you instructions to report to the Temple Mount at midday. You walk away with work secured, but guilt gnawing at your stomach. You've just defiled the temple with your presence. If God exists, you've just offended him. But your children are hungry. You have a few hours before the temple work begins. You wander through the city, watching the morning unfold. Jerusalem is beautiful from a distance. The temple, gleaming white and gold on its massive platform. The upper city's grand houses, the impressive Roman architecture. But up close, it's different. You see the poverty, the fear, the oppression. A group of Pharisees passes, their tassels and phylacteries marking them as religiously observant. They give you a look of disdain, your clothes, mark you as common, possibly impure. They cross to the other side of the street. The religious elite are as much a problem as the Romans sometimes. At least the Romans are honest about their contempt. You pass a public square where a crowd has gathered. Your stomach sinks. You know what this means. Crucifixions. The Romans are executing someone. You want to look away, want to keep walking, but everyone is required to watch. That's the point. 3 crosses are being raised. 3 men nailed to them. The sounds are horrific, screaming, begging, the thud of hammers. These men were zealots, someone whispers. They attacked a Roman patrol. This is the punishment. You watch because you must, because the soldiers are watching the crowd, because refusing to witness would mark you as sympathetic to the rebels. The men on the crosses will hang there for days, dying slowly. This is routine in Jerusalem. This is normal. You tear yourself away from the execution site, feeling sick. The morning sun is climbing higher, and the heat is building. Jerusalem in summer is brutal, dry heat that sucks the moisture from your body. Stone streets radiating warmth, no shade in the lower districts. You're already thirsty again, but water costs money. Everything costs money. The temple tax collectors are setting up their stations. You see them in a colonnade, their tables, their ledgers, their guards. They're not Roman tax collectors, those are separate. These are Jewish officials collecting for the temple. Some of them are Sadducees, the priestly aristocracy. They collaborate with Rome while taxing their own people to maintain religious authority. You hate them more than you hate the Romans. A tax collector spots you and calls you over. Your name is on his list. He knows you owe money. He asks how much you can pay. You empty your small coin purse, a few copper coins, barely anything. He looks disgusted. He calculates what you owe. The half-shekel temple tax, the tithe from your last job 3 weeks ago, an offering you missed last month. It adds up to more than you've earned in 2 months. He tells you this is unacceptable. He asks if you have possessions you can sell, your house, your tools, your wife's jewelry. You tell him you have nothing. He makes a note on his tablet. He says if you don't pay within 2 weeks, you'll be barred from the temple courts, barred from worship, effectively excommunicated. Your children's marriages will be impossible to arrange. Your son can't become a full member of the community. You're being trapped by religion itself. You walk away from the tax collector's table with your head spinning. You're being crushed from both sides. Rome demands taxes for the occupation, for the governor's palace, for the military that keeps you subdued. The temple demands taxes for God, for the priests, for the sacrifices that supposedly maintain your relationship with the divine. Between them, there's nothing left. You can't feed your family and pay both, but if you don't pay Rome, soldiers will come. If you don't pay the temple, you're cut off from your community, your culture, your identity as a Jew. It's a choice between physical survival and spiritual survival. And there's no good answer. Midday arrives. You report to the Temple Mount for your work assignment. The temple complex is massive, dominating the entire eastern side of the city, built on an artificial platform held up by enormous retaining walls. The stones are massive, some weighing hundreds of tons, fitted together so precisely you can't slide a knife between them. It's Herod's legacy, built by forced labour and Roman engineering. You join a group of workers being directed by a foreman. Your task: hauling stone and mortar for repairs to one of the outer walls. It's back-breaking work in the blazing sun. You're given no water, no rest, except at the prescribed prayer times. The foreman watches everyone with suspicious eyes, looking for any excuse to withhold pay. You work for hours, your body screaming. Your hands are raw from the rough stone. Your back feels like it's going to snap. Around you, other workers are in similar condition, all poor men like you, desperate for any wage. A man near you stumbles, dropping his load. The foreman is on him instantly, shouting, threatening to fire him without pay. The man begs, saying he's fasting for religious reasons and weak with hunger. The foreman doesn't care. He's dismissed. The man leaves, shoulders slumped. You see him later, begging outside the temple gates. That's how fast you can fall here. One stumble, and you're begging. One more stumble, and you're dead. During a brief prayer break, you overhear workers talking quietly. They're discussing the latest rumors. Another Messiah claimant has appeared, gathering followers, preaching about the kingdom of God. This happens regularly. The land is full of prophets, rebels, visionaries, claiming God has sent them to liberate Israel from Rome. Most end up crucified. A few spark movements that Rome crushes with overwhelming violence. You want to believe someone will save you, will fix this broken system. But you've seen too many messiahs die. You've watched their followers scatter, watched Rome respond with mass crucifixions and burned villages. Hope is dangerous in Jerusalem. It gets you killed. The afternoon drags on. You're dizzy from heat and hunger. Your hands are bleeding now. The foreman notices but says nothing. Blood on the stones is common. You think about your family, about what you're doing this for. By the time the work ends, the sun is setting. The foreman pays you. A few copper coins, enough for 2 days of bread if you're careful. It's not enough to pay the temple tax. It's barely enough to feed your family, but it's something. You take the coins and leave quickly before he can find a reason to take them back. You're walking home through the evening streets when you hear screaming, a commotion ahead. Roman soldiers have stopped a young man. You can't hear what they're saying, but you see the beating that follows. The soldiers are using clubs, methodical, brutal. The young man falls. They keep hitting. A crowd has gathered, but no one intervenes. Intervening would mean joining him on the ground. The beating stops. The soldiers leave him there, broken and bleeding. People step around him. No one helps. You want to help, but you have a family. You keep walking. The guilt follows you home. Back in your cramped stone house, you hand your wife the coins. She counts them, her face falling. It's not enough. You both know it. She's been trying to make the food last, but your youngest is crying from hunger. Your mother sits in the corner, silent. Your older son looks at you with questions in his eyes. Why can't you fix this? Why are we always hungry? Why do we live like this? You have no answers. This is simply how it is for ordinary people in Jerusalem, the city of God, the holy city, the place where the divine supposedly dwells. It feels more like a prison. That night, you can't sleep. Your mind is racing. The temple tax is still unpaid. The Roman tribute is coming due. There's no work tomorrow. Your food will run out in 3 days. Your son is approaching his bar mitzvah, which requires a sacrifice you can't afford. Your daughter needs new clothes. The ones she has are falling apart. Your mother is sick, but healers cost money. The problems pile up like stones, crushing you. You think about the wealthy families in the upper city, about the priests living in mansions, about the Roman officials with their banquets. The gap between them and you is infinite. You live in different worlds, but they control yours. Morning comes too soon. The shouting starts again, different this time. Not soldiers. A public announcement. A herald is calling people to the temple courts. There's to be a trial. The Sanhedrin, the Jewish high court, is judging someone accused of blasphemy. Attendance isn't mandatory, but trials are public spectacles, and sometimes they distribute bread to the crowd. You need bread. You need to show your face at the temple, to not be forgotten by the authorities. So you go, joining the stream of people, heading toward the massive temple complex. The temple courts are filling with people. The outer court, the court of the Gentiles, is the only place non-Jews are allowed, but it's also where public gatherings happen. Money changers and animal sellers have their stalls here, doing a brisk business. Pilgrims need animals for sacrifice: doves, sheep, cattle. The sellers charge inflated prices, and the temple gets a cut. It's a profitable business, this religion. You push through the crowd to where the trial is being held. A man stands before the Sanhedrin, looking defiant. You don't know what he's accused of, but blasphemy is common. Challenging the temple authorities, questioning the sacrificial system, claiming divine authority, all can get you killed. The trial proceeds with witnesses testifying. The accusations are confusing something about the man claiming he would destroy the temple and rebuild it in 3 days. The priests are furious. They question him aggressively. He says little in his defense. You've seen this before. The verdict is predetermined. The Sanhedrin wants him condemned, so he'll be condemned. But they can't execute him themselves. Rome reserves that right. So if they want him dead, they'll have to convince Pilate, the Roman governor. That means framing this as a political crime, not a religious one. Claiming to be Messiah can be spun as rebellion against Caesar. You watch the legal maneuvering with cynical understanding. Justice is a game played by the powerful. The trial ends. The man is condemned by the Sanhedrin and will be sent to Pilate. The crowd disperses. No bread was distributed. You made the trip for nothing. You're angry but unsurprised. You head back into the city, looking for any opportunity for work or food. In an alley, you see temple police arresting someone. The person is shouting that the temple is corrupt, that the priests have turned God's house into a den of thieves. The police beat him silent. You hurry past. Speaking truth about the temple is suicidal. The religious authorities are as brutal as any secular power. They just claim God's approval for their violence. You find yourself near the Antonia fortress, the massive Roman military garrison attached to the northwest corner of the Temple Mount. From here, soldiers can see everything happening in the temple courts. They can intervene instantly if there's any trouble. The fortress is a reminder. Rome allows the temple to exist, allows Jewish worship, but only at their pleasure. If the Jews get too rebellious, Rome can destroy it all. And everyone knows Rome has done it before. The temple was destroyed once, hundreds of years ago. It could happen again. The threat hangs over everything. The religious leaders collaborate with Rome to prevent it, and ordinary people like you suffer under both systems. A commotion at the fortress gates. Soldiers are bringing someone in, the man from the trial. He's being transferred to Roman custody. The crowd follows. You follow too, drawn by morbid curiosity and the desperate hope that something, anything, might break the monotony of grinding poverty. Pilate's headquarters is in the fortress. He's the prefect, Rome's direct representative. He has absolute power over life and death. The man is taken inside. The crowd waits. Hours pass. Some people drift away. Others settle in. You wait, because you have nowhere else to go, nothing else to do. Your family knows where you are. They know you're trying. Finally, Pilate appears on a balcony. He's flanked by guards, looking bored and irritated. The Jewish authorities are with him. There's a negotiation happening, a political dance. Pilate doesn't care about Jewish religious law. He cares about keeping order. If this man is a threat to order, Pilate will eliminate him. If he's not, Pilate will let him go just to annoy the priests. The priests are arguing that the man claimed to be king of the Jews, a direct challenge to Caesar. Pilate seems skeptical. He questions the prisoner briefly. Then he makes an offer. It's Passover. He'll release one prisoner as a gesture of goodwill. This man, or Barabbas, a known rebel and murderer. The crowd is given a choice. The priests are moving through the people, telling them to choose Barabbas. You don't care about either prisoner. You don't even know what this man did to deserve death. But the priests are insistent. They're the ones who control access to the temple, who can excommunicate you, who hold power over your spiritual life. You shout for Barabbas because it's safer. Everyone around you does the same. The condemned man looks at the crowd with sadness, not anger. Pilate shrugs and condemns him to crucifixion. Another execution, another spectacle. Another reminder of what happens to people who challenge authority. The man is taken away to be crucified. The crowd disperses. You feel nothing. You've seen too many crucifixions to be moved by another one. You're numb to it. The suffering of strangers can't compete with your own suffering. Your children are hungry. Your wife is exhausted. Your mother is dying slowly. You don't have the emotional capacity to care about some random preacher who got himself killed for saying the wrong things. That's on him. You focus on survival. That's all anyone can do here. The next day brings more of the same. You return to the marketplace looking for work, none available. You try begging, swallowing your pride. You sit outside the temple courts with your hand out. Some people give a coin. Most pass without looking. A priest steps over you like you're garbage. By midday, you've collected enough for one loaf of bread. It's humiliating, but humiliation doesn't hurt more than hunger. You buy the bread and take it home. Your family splits it 6 ways. Each person gets a piece smaller than your palm. Your youngest cries. You have nothing left to give him. A knock on your door that evening. Temple tax collectors. They've come to follow up. You owe money and you haven't paid. They're polite but firm. They can't let this continue. They offer a solution. You can work off your debt. Indentured service to the temple for 6 months. You'll work maintenance, cleaning, hauling. In exchange, your debt will be forgiven, and your family will receive a small food ration. It's exploitation, but what choice do you have? You can't be excommunicated. You agree. The collector makes a mark in his ledger. You're now temple property for half a year. You've become a servant to God, or rather, to the men who claim to speak for God. The indenture begins immediately. You report to the temple at dawn the next day. You're assigned to the cleaning crews, men who scrub the courtyards, empty the ash from the sacrificial altar, wash the blood from the stones. The work is endless. Sacrifices happen from morning until evening. Thousands of animals are killed every week. The blood flows in channels, the stench is overwhelming, the flies are everywhere. This is the holy work of atonement. This is how sins are forgiven. Through blood and fire and death, you clean the blood from stones and wonder if any God actually wants this, or if it's just a system men created to maintain power. You work alongside other indentured servants and actual slaves, non-Jews owned by the temple or by priests. The hierarchy is clear. Priests at the top, Levites below them, free workers below them, indentured servants like you below them, and slaves at the bottom. Everyone is oppressed by someone. Everyone looks for someone to feel superior to. The slaves do the worst work. You're grateful you're not them, while knowing you're only a step above. The system teaches you to be grateful for small mercies, to accept your place, to not question why there's a hierarchy at all. During a rare break, you're sitting in the shade when temple police rush past, chasing someone. A thief, you hear. He stole coins from a money changer. They catch him quickly. The punishment is public and brutal, a beating that leaves him unconscious. Then he's dragged away to face judgment. For stealing a few coins, he'll probably lose a hand. Or worse. The severity of the punishment depends on the mood of the judges. Justice in Jerusalem isn't blind, it's arbitrary. It depends on who you are, who you know, how much money you have. If you're poor, you're guilty. If you're rich, you're innocent. The law is a weapon used against the weak. Weeks pass in this routine. You wake before dawn, work all day at the temple, return home exhausted. The food ration they promised is meager enough to keep you alive but not healthy. Your family is slowly starving on an official diet. Your mother is getting worse. She needs medicine, but medicine costs money you don't have. Your wife tries to earn extra by doing laundry for wealthy families, but they pay almost nothing. Your older son wants to find work, but he's too young and too weak. Your daughter helps her mother, learning the skills she'll need when she marries. If she marries. Who would want to marry into a family with nothing? One morning, you arrive at the temple to find chaos. Someone has disrupted the money changers, overturned tables, scattered coins, driven out the animal sellers. The authorities are furious. They're looking for the man who did it. The description matches the man from the trial weeks ago, the one who was crucified. But that's impossible. Dead men don't overturn tables. You dismiss it as rumor, as confusion. Someone else must have done it. Or maybe it didn't happen at all. Stories change with each telling. Truth is fluid in Jerusalem. Everyone has their own version of events. The disruption of the money changers has consequences. The temple authorities crack down. Security increases. More police, more suspicion, more beatings for anyone who looks at them wrong. You keep your head down, work harder, try to be invisible. Being noticed is dangerous. You see other workers beaten for small infractions, moving too slowly, looking surly, failing to show proper respect. The temple is a machine that runs on fear and obedience. You're a cog in that machine. If you break, you'll be replaced. Simple as that. Your indenture continues. 3 months in, and you're physically breaking down. The work is too hard, the food too little. You're losing weight. Your hands are permanently raw. Your back hurts constantly. You look 20 years older than you are, but you keep going because stopping means losing everything. The temple authorities don't care about your suffering. You're a resource to be used. When you're used up, they'll find someone else. That's how the system works. It's sustainable because there's always another desperate person ready to take your place. One day, you're cleaning the court of women when you overhear priests talking. They're discussing a problem. Too many poor people are becoming indentured to pay their temple taxes. It's creating a labor surplus, driving down wages. The solution, one priest suggests, is to raise the required offerings. Make religion more expensive. That will reduce the number of people seeking services, increase revenue from those who can afford it, and maintain a steady supply of desperate workers. They're discussing human misery as an economic optimization problem. You realize these men don't believe what they preach. It's just business. God is just the brand name. Your mother dies quietly one night. She simply doesn't wake up. She's been sick for weeks, getting weaker, but there was nothing you could do. No money for a healer, no time to care for her. She died of poverty, essentially, of the accumulated weight of a hard life in a system designed to crush people like her. The burial is quick and cheap, a cave outside the city, a stone rolled over the entrance, a brief prayer, no elaborate mourning. You can't afford it. You return to work the next day. The temple doesn't grant bereavement leave for indentured servants. Your grief is your problem. Your labor belongs to them. The Romans announce new taxes. There's unrest. Some zealots attack a tax collection point. The Romans respond with overwhelming force. 20 rebels are crucified along the main road into Jerusalem. Their bodies hang for days. You're forced to walk past them daily on your way to the temple. The smell is awful. The sight is worse. But it's effective. Rebellion decreases. People are scared. That's the point. Rome rules through terror. Calculated public terror. They don't hide it. They want you to see. They want you to be afraid. And you are. Halfway through your indenture, you're exhausted in a way that sleep can't fix. You're depleted. Your body is failing. Your spirit is gone. You're a walking corpse, moving through the motions. Your wife looks at you with worry. Your children barely recognize you. You're always gone, always working, always too tired to speak. You're sacrificing your life for religion, or rather, for the men who profit from religion. And deep down, you're starting to realize this might kill you, that you might not survive the full 6 months. But you can't stop. The debt must be paid. The system must be served. Rumors spread through the temple. The man who was crucified, the one they say overturned the money changers' tables. People claim he's alive, that he rose from the dead. His followers are preaching in the streets. The authorities are nervous. They send temple police to arrest the followers. Some are imprisoned, some are beaten. The movement doesn't stop. You don't know what to believe. Dead men don't come back to life. But the Romans are worried. Pilate sends extra troops. If Rome is worried, something is happening. Or maybe it's just another religious delusion, another false hope that will get people killed. You don't have time to care about resurrections. You're focused on survival. Your indenture is wearing on. 4 months in, 2 months to go, you count the days. Your family is barely holding together. Your older son has started begging in the streets to bring in extra food. Your daughter is so thin you can see her bones. Your wife cries at night when she thinks you're asleep. You lie there, listening, unable to comfort her because you have nothing to offer. No hope, no solution, just endurance. That's all that's left. Endure, survive, repeat. The temple authorities increase their enforcement of purity laws. They're cracking down on anyone who enters the temple while ritually impure. Inspectors are checking people at the gates. If you're found impure, you're beaten and expelled. You remember your lie months ago, claiming to be pure when you weren't. You've been defiling the temple with your presence ever since. The guilt has been eating at you, but now there's also fear. What if they discover it? What if someone saw you touch that dead donkey? What if they investigate? The paranoia adds to your exhaustion. You're being crushed by invisible weight. One evening, you witness a stoning. A woman accused of adultery. The mob gathers, the priests give permission, and the stones fly. You're required to participate. Refusing would mark you as sympathetic, possibly as an accomplice. You pick up a stone, you throw it, you feel it hit. The woman falls. More stones. It doesn't take long. She's dead within minutes. Afterward, you wash your hands in a public cistern, but you can't wash away what you did. You're a murderer now. Sanctioned by religious law, commanded by authority, but still a murderer. You walk home in silence. Your hands won't stop shaking. The weight of everything is crushing you. The physical labor, the hunger, the violence, the complicity in systems you hate, the death of your mother, the suffering of your family. The knowledge that this will never get better, that this is your life until you die. You think about ending it, just walking away, leaving the city, abandoning everything. But where would you go? Rome controls everything. The temple's authority extends throughout Jewish lands. There is no outside. There is only here, only this. You're trapped absolutely. The realization is devastating. You develop an infection in your hand from a cut you got working. It festers, turns red, swells. You need medical attention, but you're ritually impure now because of the infection. You can't enter the temple courts. You can't work. The temple authorities send someone to inspect. They confirm the infection. They suspend you from duty until you're healed. but they don't suspend your debt. The time keeps accumulating. Your 6-month indenture is now extended. However long it takes you to heal, that's added to your service. The system is designed to trap you forever. Every setback extends your bondage. There's no way out. You spend 2 weeks recovering. A neighbour who knows some herbal medicine helps you not from kindness exactly, but from the unspoken understanding that any of you could be in this position. The poor help each other because no one else will. The infection eventually clears. Your hand is scarred and weak, but functional. You return to work. The temple authorities mark your return in their ledgers. Your debt continues to accumulate. You've lost 2 weeks of wages your family desperately needed. They survived on charity and scraps. Your son's begging kept them alive. He's 10 years old, keeping the family fed by begging. The shame is overwhelming. Back at work, you notice something. The other indentured servants look the same way you do. Hollow, exhausted, defeated. Some have been there for years. What was supposed to be 6 months has turned into permanent servitude. Debts grow faster than they can be paid off. New taxes, new required offerings, sick days, injuries. The system is rigged. You're not working off a debt. You're being kept as cheap labour under religious pretense. And there's nothing you can do about it. Challenging the temple means excommunication, being cut off from your community, from God, or so they tell you. 6 months pass, your original indenture is complete, but because of your sick time, you owe 2 more weeks. You work them, then you're finally done. You're released from service. You're given a certificate of debt satisfaction marked with the temple seal. You're free, except you're not free. You're broken. Your health is ruined. Your family is traumatized. You have no money. And the taxes start accumulating again immediately. The cycle begins anew. You've learned that freedom in Jerusalem is an illusion. You're always in debt to someone, always under someone's authority, always one step from slavery. You try to rebuild your life. You look for work, but your injured hand makes you less attractive to employers. You're slower, weaker. Younger men get hired instead. You're 36 years old and already obsolete. Your family scrapes by on your son's begging and your wife's meagre laundry earnings. You're a burden now. You can see it in their eyes. They don't say it, but you know. Your daughter is old enough to marry, but no one wants her. Your family has no money, no prospects, no connections. She'll probably remain unmarried. Another generation trapped in poverty. Roman taxes come due. You have nothing to pay them with. The collectors come to your house. They take your few possessions, some clay pots, a worn blanket, your wife's last piece of jewellery inherited from her mother. It's not enough to cover what you owe, but it's all you have. They make a note in their ledger. You're on a list now, delinquent. Next time, they'll take more, or they'll arrest you, or they'll conscript your son into labour. The mechanisms of enforcement are many and brutal. You've entered a debt spiral you'll never escape. This is how you'll live until you die. You hear more about the resurrection claims. The movement is growing. People are saying this: Jesus is the Messiah, that he's coming back to establish God's kingdom, that the old order will be overturned. The temple authorities are increasingly nervous. They're arresting followers, interrogating them, trying to stamp out the movement, but it keeps growing. You're tempted to believe it, desperate for any hope, but you've seen too many messiahs fail. You've watched too many movements crushed. You can't afford hope. Hope is a luxury for people who have something left to lose. A follower of Jesus approaches you in the marketplace. He's preaching about forgiveness, about God's love for the poor, about a coming kingdom where the last will be first. It sounds beautiful. It sounds impossible. He offers you bread, free bread, no strings attached. You take it, suspicious. What does he want? But he wants nothing. He just moves on to the next person. You eat the bread. It's the first full meal you've had in weeks. You want to believe what he's preaching. You want to believe the world could be different. But reality says otherwise. Reality says you'll be poor forever. Reality says nothing changes except the names of your oppressors. The temple authorities announce new regulations, more purity requirements, more expensive offerings, more ways to extract money from the people. They frame it as religious obligation, as what God demands. But everyone knows it's about control, about money, about maintaining the hierarchy. The priests live in mansions while you starve. They claim to serve God while enriching themselves. The hypocrisy is staggering. But who can challenge it? Challenging the temple means challenging God. That's how they framed it. Your oppression comes with divine approval, or so you're told. You witness another execution. More zealots caught planning an attack. 5 crosses this time. The Romans are increasing their response to resistance. The message is clear. Submit or die. There is no middle ground. You watch the men suffer and you feel nothing. You're beyond empathy. You're beyond anger. You're just numb. Survival has reduced you to an animal. You eat when you can. You sleep when you can. You avoid danger. That's all that's left. The complex inner life you once had is gone. Poverty has killed it as surely as violence killed those men on crosses. Your son is caught stealing bread. He's 11 years old. The punishment could be severe. You beg the merchant to show mercy. You offer to pay him back somehow. The merchant looks at your son, looks at you, and makes a decision. He lets it go. This time, but next time, he'll call the authorities. Your son could lose a hand for theft, or worse. You take your son home and try to explain that he can't steal. He looks at you with hollow eyes and asks, "Then how do we eat?" You have no answer. The truth is you've failed as a father. Failed to provide, failed to protect, failed to offer any future better than your present. You find occasional work, a day here, a day there. It's never enough. You're always behind, always in debt, always one crisis from total collapse, an injury, an illness, a bad day. Any of these could destroy you. You live in constant, low-grade terror, and everyone around you lives the same way. The lower city is full of people just barely surviving, clinging to life by their fingernails, 1 layer above the beggars, 2 layers above the dead. That's the hierarchy, and you're grateful for your position while knowing how precarious it is. A plague hits Jerusalem. It starts in the poorest quarters, as plagues always do. People are dying, bodies are piling up. The wealthy flee to their estates outside the city. The poor have nowhere to go. You try to keep your family safe, but you live in cramped quarters with no sanitation. Your youngest gets sick, fever, coughing. You've seen this before. You know what it means. You try everything, prayers, herbs, hope. Nothing works. He gets worse. You hold him while he burns with fever. He's 5 years old. He doesn't understand why he's dying. You tell him it will be okay. You lie to your dying child. He believes you, and then he's gone. You bury your youngest son in the common grave outside the city. No ceremony, no elaborate mourning, just another small body in the earth. Your wife breaks. She stops speaking. She stops eating. She just sits, staring at nothing. Your daughter tries to care for her. Your older son blames himself. He should have stolen more bread, kept his brother fed, kept him strong enough to fight the illness. Your family is disintegrating, and you can't stop it. You're powerless. You've always been powerless, but now the illusion is gone. You can't even protect your own children. You hear that the followers of Jesus are forming communities, sharing resources, taking care of their poor. It sounds like fantasy, but you're desperate. You seek them out. You find a small gathering, maybe 20 people, meeting in someone's home. They welcome you, they feed you, they don't ask for money. They talk about Jesus, about his teachings, about love and forgiveness. You want to believe it, you want to join, but you're afraid. If the authorities find out, you'll be marked, persecuted. Your family is already suffering. You can't make it worse. So you thank them, eat their food, and leave. You're too broken even for hope. Life continues its brutal pattern. Work when you can find it, hunger when you can't, taxes always due, debts always accumulating. Your wife slowly returns from her grief, but she's changed. Harder, more bitter. Your daughter is 13 now, with no prospects. Your son is 12, already looking for ways to survive. He talks about joining the zealots when he's older. Fighting Rome. You try to talk him out of it. That's suicide, but he doesn't care. He'd rather die fighting than live like this. You understand. Part of you agrees with him. The temple authorities announce a new campaign, rooting out blasphemers. Anyone speaking against the temple, anyone following these Jesus sects, anyone questioning the priestly authority, the arrests begin. People disappear. Some are imprisoned. Some are beaten. Some are killed. The movement continues anyway, underground. You admire their courage while thinking they're foolish. What's the point? Rome and the temple are too powerful. They can't be beaten. Resistance is noble and pointless. Better to keep your head down. Better to survive. That's what you tell yourself. That's what keeps you from joining them. You're nearly 40 now. You look 60. Your body is wrecked. Your spirit is gone. You've lost a mother, a son. Your wife is a shell. Your daughter has no future. Your older son is angry and radicalized. This is what Jerusalem has done to you. This is what the holy city produces. Broken people, dead children, destroyed families, all while claiming to serve God. All while the temple gleams white and gold on its hill. All while the priests grow fat and the Romans collect their taxes. The system is perfect in its cruelty. It extracts everything and gives nothing. And it claims divine approval for it all. You hear that tensions are rising. The zealot movement is growing. Roman patience is wearing thin. People are talking about war, about rebellion, about driving out the occupiers and restoring Jewish independence. You know how this will end. Rome doesn't lose. Rome crushes rebellions. If war comes, Jerusalem will burn. The temple will be destroyed. Everyone will suffer. But maybe that's what needs to happen. Maybe the whole rotten system needs to collapse. Maybe from the ashes, something better could grow. Or maybe not. Maybe it will just be more suffering, more death, more poverty, different oppressors wearing different clothes. You're working as a day labourer when you see them. A group of Roman soldiers arresting Jews accused of sedition. They're hauling them away in chains. The arrested men are shouting that the kingdom of God is coming, that Rome will fall, that the Messiah will return. The soldiers laugh. They've heard it all before. They beat the prisoners casually, almost bored. You watch and you think, these men might be right, or they might be delusional, but at least they believe in something. At least they're fighting. You've given up fighting. You just endure. You're not sure which is worse, their certain death or your slow one. Your son makes his decision. He's joining the zealots. He's 14, old enough to fight, he says. You beg him not to. You tell him he'll die. He says he's already dead. This isn't living. He'd rather die with purpose than exist without it. You understand his logic even as you hate it. You're losing another child. This time not to disease, but to rebellion, to hope, to the desperate belief that things could be different. You watch him leave. You know you'll never see him again. He'll die on a Roman cross or in a futile battle. And part of you envies him. At least he's choosing his death. You never got to choose anything. War comes. It builds slowly and then erupts. Zealots attack Roman positions. Rome responds with overwhelming force. The city becomes a battlefield. You hide with what's left of your family, your wife and daughter. You have no food. The city is under siege. The Romans surround Jerusalem, cutting off supplies. Inside, rival Jewish factions fight each other while claiming to fight Rome. It's chaos. It's horror. People are starving. Cannibalism begins. You see things you'll never unsee. Mothers eating their children. The complete breakdown of everything human. The Romans breach the walls. They pour in like a flood. The killing is systematic. Street by street, house by house. You hide in a cellar. You hear screaming above. You hear boots. You hear swords. The Romans are thorough. They're not just conquering. They're erasing. You know what's coming. You've always known this would end badly. The temple authorities thought they could balance Rome and Jewish independence. They were wrong. Now everyone pays the price. The innocent, the guilty, the collaborators, the resistors. All equal in death. You're discovered. Soldiers drag you out. They're deciding what to do with you. Execute, enslave. They're tired of killing. They chain you. You're a slave now. Roman property. You'll be shipped somewhere to work. Maybe mines, maybe farms. Maybe you'll die in transit. Your wife and daughter are taken separately. You scream for them. A soldier hits you. You fall silent. You watch them disappear into the mass of prisoners. That's the last time you see them. You don't know if they'll survive. You don't know where they're going. You're alone. Everything is lost. The temple burns. You see it from where you're chained with other prisoners. The massive building that dominated Jerusalem, that dominated your life, is in flames. The Romans are destroying it completely, stone by stone, wiping it from existence. The building that claimed to house God, that extracted so much from so many, that justified so much suffering, it's burning, and you feel nothing, or maybe relief. The system that crushed you is being crushed. It won't help you, but maybe it will help someone. Maybe in the ashes, something different can grow. You're marched out of Jerusalem in a chain gang, thousands of Jewish prisoners. The Romans parade you through the ruins. They want you to see what rebellion costs. Bodies are everywhere. Crucifixes line the roads, hundreds of them, thousands. Every rebel they caught, every fighter who resisted. The smell is overwhelming. Death and smoke and defeat. Jerusalem is gone. Not just defeated, erased. The Romans are making a point. This is what happens when you challenge Rome. Total destruction. No mercy. Absolute victory. You're put on a ship, crowded with other prisoners. You don't know where you're going. You don't care anymore. Your son is dead, you're sure of it. Your wife and daughter are lost. Your city is destroyed. Your life is over. You're breathing, but you're not alive. You're a ghost. The ship sails. You watch the coast of Judea disappear. You're leaving everything you've ever known, but there's nothing left there anyway. Just ash and corpses. Just the ruins of a system that destroyed its own people while claiming divine authority. The voyage is long. Many prisoners die. Disease, hunger, despair. Bodies are thrown overboard. You survive, though you're not sure why. Maybe you're too broken to die. Maybe death doesn't want you. You arrive somewhere you don't even know where. You're sold to a mine owner. You'll spend the rest of your life underground, digging silver for Rome. This is how it ends. This is what survival gets you. A prolonged death in darkness. You think about your life, about everything you endured, and you realize you wouldn't have lasted a day in ancient Jerusalem if you'd known from the start how it would end. You'd have chosen a quicker death, but you didn't know, so you survived. And surviving was its own death, just slower. You work in the mine. Days blur into weeks, into months. You stop counting. You stop hoping. You exist. That's all. Your body continues functioning while your mind retreats to somewhere safer. You remember your family sometimes. Your mother, your sons, your wife and daughter. You don't know if they're alive. You'll never know. The not knowing is its own torture. But it's distant now. Everything is distant. You're detached from your own life, watching yourself from outside. This helps. Disconnection is a mercy. It's how the mind survives what the body endures.